Get ready for game number 2. Which battleground are we moving into? It's going to be Battlefield of Eternity, and Zealots will take that loss and decide to go ahead and choose the battleground.
Now, I'm excited for this for the sole reason that Mopsio has said in the interview, we have things prepared. And they just lost, and they choose the battleground over first pick. So that might be one of those situations where they are saying, all right, we got something prepared for you, can you deal with it?
That's the exciting part of the Zealots coming into the HGC, is we get to kind of learn all of their tendencies, where they want to go, what maps aren't really for them, what maps are their go-tos and their victories, similar to when we see Tricked Esport, for example. Whenever I see Tricked come to Battlefield of Eternity, I get excited, because I know we're going to have some solid games here. And maybe that will be the case here for the Zealots. What could they have in store for Fnatic?
I have no idea, but I'm ready to find out. I want to see what's going on now. Maybe they're going to play a normal match, but that could be one of the maps where they say, hey, we got a special strategy. We got something that you haven't seen yet. Let's find out if you can deal with it. Fnatic has strategies like this too. Just remember what Fnatic did against Team Dignitas on Sky Temple. The Chen build with the double support Vala. Trying to end the game early on with an early boss was very impressive. Zealots might have something similar prepared here.
As always, without a trace or two here for Fnatic. Shwimpy just bringing that out whenever he can. So let's get this draft underway, as Fnatic will be having the first ban of the game. Now, options for them, Abathur 1 falls down a little bit on the harder side here, but there's always a chance for a Greymane ban. In fact, they're hovering Greymane for now.
Yeah, Greymane would be a very solid ban, because he just brings so much to the table on Battlefield. We have a big priority list of what you can get rid of, but a Greymane is on the map a definitely solid option of what you can ban. We also talk about Uther and Nubrak, high priority picks oftentimes. And for Fnatic, basically is a question, I don't think they have any kind of target ban against the Zealots that they are afraid of. It's probably more them thinking, what do we want on our early pick? And what do we want to deny? So right now it's between the Greymane and the Nubrak, both of them very solid pickups.
So Zealots now have to decide if they want to get rid of the Genji or the Uther, maybe even the Anubrak in particular. I think against Fnatic you should get rid of the Anubrak. They're one of the best teams at actually using Cocoon for setup kills and also for pure isolation. Yeah,
I would agree. If you look at Zealots now, if they do ban Anubrak, there is still Genji around though. You can pick Genji if Fnatic wants to be aggressive. Uther if you just try to be flexible in the early draft. So there's still a lot that Fnatic can pick. So with all these picks around, Zealots have to really think, what threatens us the most?
I wonder if Zealots are thinking about leaving Uther up simply because Fnatic in the past has been willing to pass over that Uther. They're willing to go into the Genji and get a different support in the rotation instead. So I think a Nubrak is the way to go no matter what. Or if you had that fear of, you're mentioning that Genji of coming in and being too disruptive. So it's got to be the Uther ban actually here from the Zealots.
Okay, Uther banned out. So we could see a Genji pick and a Nubrak pick are the two that we look out for right now. Besides that, I don't know if we have seen teams that would commit on this map to a very early Vala, trying to just get the supports then later on. But with Uther already banned out, and this also not really being Fnatic's go-to strategy, I don't really think that's going to happen. So I would expect they're just sticking with their guns, and yes, they pick the Genji over the Nubrak. So Zealots traditionally would now get a Nubrak first, and then they can add a second one. This could be either a damage dealer, they could head into a Malfurion, for example. They have a few options here for the second pick, but I would be surprised not to see a Nubrak.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, the last time we saw this map, it was Greymane and Nubrak they went into. Greymane being banned out, not the choice for them. You can still do the Nubrak, maybe the Vala, but I think Vala falls down a little bit in priority. Regardless, Zealots thinking about what they want to move into, but you need to make sure you have something to control that Genji at some point down the line, or Shwimpy will continue to harass it. There's the Malfurion, and there is the Nubrak.
I like that. The Malfurion with the Twilight Dream later can definitely screw Genji pretty hard when he goes into the backline and doesn't expect it. You need, of course, to time it properly, but you also have the Cocoon. So this is basically a very standard opening into Battlefield of Eternity. We still have our core heroes that are being played, and from here on our teams can now be a little bit more diverse and just think, okay, what do we want to do here? Do we follow a different path this time? But there's always, in any meta that you have, there's always a couple of core heroes that everything revolves around in the early stage.
Yeah, there's also, for this battleground in particular, you have Heroes that pop up a little bit more. Arthas, in particular, great for controlling the entire area around the Immortal phase. If you just want to make sure that your opponent's not going in for a race, kind of just set up at camp and flip from there. We've seen in the past, even global compositions doing very well in this battleground. Your Dahakas, your Falsas, always great. Dahaka, in particular, at the MSB, had this weird rise and decline and then a rise again, simply for the rotations on BOE being that effective. Li Ming comes in, as well as Karazim for Fnatic.
Okay, so a reset composition for Fnatic. They already say pretty much, hey, we want the resets, we want the fights. We have also poke. And Karazim is another hero that can jump in with the rest of the team. So I'm pretty excited for that. Zealots with bans. And we don't have frontliners for Fnatic yet, but there's so much to choose from here that it's going to be rough for Zealots to actually ban something out. It's again just a question, what are you scared of? What's your biggest worry here? And they are saying, okay, Dehaka with a side soak, they don't want to get out macroed and they don't want to risk that just a Bush Stalker into a backline is, for example, enabling Genji to dive in deep with Dehaka.
I mean, Dehaka also, with him just soaking on the side, allows Li Ming to be more effective here. You don't actually have to force a fight. You can just siege away consistently on top of the Immortal. Fnatic thinking about what they want to move away from, and it's looking like an Abathur. Abathur got a little bit of play on this battleground, but Fnatic just being safe here. They just don't want to be in a situation where potentially Zealots could be soaking on that side lane.
I actually think that at this point, okay, they banned Tracer. Zealots is one of those teams where you have very little data.
Yeah.
You can look at a few of the Open Division games, of course, but overall you don't know too much about the Zealots. The players have been around for a long time, but if you look at what they are playing here, you're more so worried about, okay, what would be a hero that overall that could screw our plan up, and that's what Fnatic is banning out here. Do we want to deal with the potential Tracer? Nah, not really. We know that they have the potential to play it, let's just get rid of it. Over time, people or teams in general will have more target bans towards the Zealots, but right now it's still all about meta.
Tracer being away means that Li Ming can't be harassed too easily, only a Nubrak on the field to be that harassment. This is the moment where we see Zealots kind of decide, do they want to be in a spot where they can help race, do they want to control the Immortal face, or do they just want to bring the team fight to Fnatic in terms of dive? However, the options for dive are a little bit limited at the moment. Greymaine's being taken out, Genji's being taken away at the moment too.
Fnatic has a great position in the draft so far. And here comes the Vala and the Tacita. So with Vala, they have the Immortal pressure. Tacita already says, hey, double support. And with that, they have all their eggs in the Vala basket. And I think that could be a bit rough. Fnatic could really just fully commit to a comp that goes for the team fights here. They can jump in with Karazim. They have Li Ming for also the backline damage, resets. They have the Genji on top of that too. I don't know how crazy they can get here, but they can head into a Tyrael at this point. We could see them with an Arthas, which is a bit more standard, but doesn't have the engage potential that a Tyrael offers. We could see them with... I wouldn't even mind them going into a Muradin, for example.
Just full diving on the back line.
Yeah.
With it being Breeze, do you think maybe an HGC can work here too? Malfurion Root and Nubrak decent for peels?
The thing is, with Li Ming, you already have a tool against the Nubarak's Cocoon. That whenever a Nubarak uses the Cocoon, Schwimpy should be there saying, okay, disintegrate, zip, Cocoon is gone. That didn't get any value for you, and now we can continue the team fight.
Varian and Sonya.
I like that even more. Varian didn't even slip my mind here. Varian, okay, that is really cool for what they have, because Varian plus Li Ming is already fantastic. This is a comp where you can, if you time Li Ming's combo well with the damage output, Varian goes in with a taunt, you can do so much here. So this is pretty awesome.
I like how rounded out Fnatic's lineup is. They can dive if they need to, but they also have the possibility here, if a member falls, they can defend an Immortal and split off Sonya to burn some damage there, even Karazim to a degree. Solid lineup for Battlefield Eternity for Fnatic. The Zealots on the right side here, let's see how they're going to handle this. For now, the Sonya control seems to be slightly lacking. Force Wall could be okay, but at 13 with Mystical Spear, Sonya can still come in for the engages.
Yeah, right now, a bit more frontline would definitely be needed for them. Probably Shat going to be on the Tacita here. I guess Poik on the Vala and Grand Paqueta then on the Malfurion. So Zarmany with the hero, he would probably have loved to play the Sonya here, but since that's taken away by Fnatic, I'm curious to see what Zarmany is going to pick as first of all, the solo laner to the top, and he goes for the Arthas. Very beefy frontline, something that Fnatic played, I think, roughly 2 months ago, a lot. Usually when they got the chance in the early rotations, they went for an Arthas and Nubarak. It's pretty heavy to break through, but I really love what Fnatic has here. I think their teamfight potential, dropping targets, getting the resets, with especially Varian and the taunt that comes online on 10 is going to be great for them.
Yeah, Arthas, while okay in theory, he's one of those heroes that you have to be very careful and be near that Valla whenever you can. If you overstep, the Fnatic can just walk by him literally and get into a point where Arthas is chasing to help out the defensive fight. So it's going to be a difficult one for that Arthas, but you can see why he picked him up just to try and control that Sonya and, of course, be in a spot where he can help out with that Kerosene that can come in.
I also think that in the early game, the draft of the Zealots isn't really too bad. I think that's something where they can really pressure and maybe win the first Immortal, take it from there. I wonder, they need to get the stacks for Valla after, if she commits to the Q talent. I'm really thinking that... it depends a bit on the fight.
Attack, though. Would you like an auto-attack build here?
Would
a double support Tassadar? I think it could be possible if you want to get on the opposing team.
In general, if you go for Creed of the Hunter, if you have a double support and you are also behind a double front line, that's the time to go for Creed of the Hunter. I have seen it in a few scrims by several teams that tried it on Battlefield of Eternity because it's a great map to get the talent since you have a lot of brawls in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if against this composition I would really take it. I probably would just go with a normal arrow build to put the Immortal pressure on. But this is definitely a map where if you have a double front line and a double support, Creed is an option. Also, Tomb of the Spider Queen, for example, since it's a very short map in rotation size, so you can get a lot of auto attacks in. But I am also wondering, with that front line, I don't know, depending on how the early game goes, if they win the Punishers, they could really try and think again about the Syndragosa. Traditionally, you wouldn't do that. But if you're Zealots and you know you're the team that is the underdog here, sometimes putting all your eggs into a snowball basket and saying, hey, if we win the first 2 or 3 Punishers, sorry, the Immortals, and have them on high shields, maybe we can get enough value out of disabling the structures that we can snowball it against our opponent, pick up extra experience. That would be a bit of a risky move, but I think I would like that given their position in this series.
Risky business for Zealots. Can they pull it off against Fnatic, who are the kings of stopping cheese? We'll see if that will occur here in game number 2. Battlefield of Eternity.
Game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, Battlefield of Eternity is the map, and we have Fnatic in the lead with a 1-0. Smexy playing Kerosene this time. We have Quacknix on Genji, Whoopi on Sonya for the blue team, Breeze on Varian, and Schwimpy on his Liming.
Zealots on the right side in the red. Here they are, down 0-1. Zarmania on the Arthas. We're going to have Mopsio on a Nubrak, Shad on Tassadar, Grandpa on Malfurion, and Poik will be playing the Valla. And he has started moving into the Hungering Arrow build. And while I like the Hungering Arrow build for this Battleground, I am worried about their damage output. If they hit a couple of arrows, sure, they could choke somebody down, but can they actually secure kills between their 2 tanks?
Yeah, I have to say that even though I think this is one of the best maps to get Creed of the Hunter completely stacked if you're having double support and double tank teammates, I still think the power spike is so late that you have a problem against the setup that Fnatic is running. This is one of the biggest arguments against Creed, that you're saying it is pretty useless unless you complete the quest talent. And against with the Immortal pressure, I like that they are going for the arrow build here. It's pretty standard actually for Valla on this map. The damage output is something that they have to worry about for sure. But they could also go into Archon here. That would help out with it. They don't necessarily need to go into the Force Wall, even though we have seen Shad excel at that talent.
Yeah, I think you need to go into Archon 100% here. And if not, just the damage is going to be missing out way too much. All right, let's see what happens here for our teams as we have a few people on the bottom lane. Sonya versus Arthas in the top. Sonya again being that lane bully, but Arthas will be able to handle it just enough here over time. The bottom lane is going to be the story of the game, though, for Zealots. Can they get any pressure on their opponents while also trying to control that Genji?
One of the big things is you talk Genji, and we're talking both Genji and Liming, the resets. That's going to be the big story here. And I think we have a really beefy frontline for the Zealots, so the question is, can Fnatic get these resets? Can they get the kills? And it's going to be down to the 2 supports if they can keep Poik alive. If he can dish out the damage and pressure the backline there, that would be great, because if there's no resets for Fnatic, they're going to have a rough time in these fights. So it's all about the ability of the double support to keep these heroes alive.
Their ability to get resets definitely spikes it towards the late game with Kerosene and get 16. Hang on here, though. Breeze goes in. Genji also looking at Mopsio. He's going to drop down his shield at the last second. Can he get away? He does, just barely leave.
That was a close escape, though. The great escape of 2017. He looked dead in the waters for the entire time. I mean, he barely got away. Shield after shield was protecting him here. But we have Fnatic racing down that Immortal. They are hyper-aggressive. And you can tell that especially as Mexi is currently enjoying being on a hyper-mobile carry as Karazim.
Dude, I was watching a stream the other day, and Ozzy was playing with Genji the entire time. That guy loves playing mobile heroes. Here he is on the Karazim, helping shred the Immortal. Now it's all about defense for Zealots, and they're in a tough position here, because the Immortal on the left side is one they want to defend, but that's in enemy territory. And at the same time, if they start to lose members, escape is pretty hard.
Yeah, Poik is trying to poke forward here a bit. Still Tassadar versus Liming at the bot lane. Level 4 has been picked up by both teams. Now we're going to see some stacking on the side of Vala, trying to get that extra damage here. Already moving away. Heal comes in. We have Varian a little bit trapped here. Vala still at the bot lane against Tassadar, who is, by the way, pretty low. Needs to be careful here, and looks like Zealots for now are doing a little bit better with their defense.
Doing pretty well here. Poik taking some damage overall. Finally, we commit to the Immortal on the left side as Wubby and Smexy really dish out the hurt, and they're going to be able to chunk it down just barely, though, as the Zealots will get the shield down to less than 1900 health.
Not too bad, though. So Fnatic is in a spot where they get the first Immortal. Shouldn't do too much damage, and now we're actually going to see the Zealots having a lot more potential when it comes to the Immortal. We're going to see more stacking for Vala. The level 7 talent that will be ready for the next Immortal is going to help with the double arrow, so that makes the Zealots' race onto the Immortal damage a lot more effective. Fnatic, on the other hand, they have Sonya at the top lane against Arthurs, and down here they're going to try and maximize the damage against the structure so they get lead in experience.
Fnatic moving forward, looking on that fort there. Schwimpy showing away where he can. Level 4 picked up here for a new back. We see that bed of barbs, which will be dropping on those tanks as much as he can. Breeze in particular, keeping Varian slowed down is always great for your team, especially that Vala. She's able to move forward and bring in those auto attacks and stay out of range of that charge.
Schwimpy with a really cool move. We saw it on the bottom right of the screen. They try to go for the fountain, and then they realize they can't take it down, so they move away, but Schwimpy moves around with the Liming and just hits another combo and drops the fountain. And this is actually a lesson that you can take for your own games. Whenever you have an opportunity to safely destroy the fountain on any lane of your opponent, make that a priority. It's one of the best things to do because you take away the sustain on the lane from them. They will never have the opportunity to simply just move back and quickly tap the fountain. They will always have to go back to the Nexus or to a different lane, and that costs a lot of time. So it's a small thing to do, but whenever you see an opportunity to kill the well, make sure that that is a priority for you.
Yeah, some would say the pie in the sky is that fort, but sometimes a slice of pie can be just as good. Get that well taken out there, and you'll be feeling nice and beautiful after eating a blueberry pie. Now, back to the mercenary camps being grabbed by Zealots. They're working on getting to level 7. I'm in the mood for some pie, Calidor. Let's get some pie out there.
I can tell. Yeah, we definitely have to get some food after this.
Sounds so yummy. So now it's about mercenary camps. Bottom lane's going to be pushing in. Fnatic working on the left side. Zealots are a bit delayed on their rotation to the right side, but nothing too crazy here. They wanted to make sure that they worked on that turrets first.
We also have 20 stacks, as you can see here, on Vala's level 4 talent. That isn't anything too crazy, but every single bit helps at this point already. And especially the level 7 talent is going to help with the Immortal race. So the next Immortal is spawning, and the Zealots are going to have to approach this a little bit differently. A bit more aggressive, trying to make sure Fnatic cannot snowball this, since the blue team has taken a slight lead. Calamity for Liming, on the other hand, is a frightening tool when it is in the hands of Schwimpy. I think Schwimpy and Mena are the two best Liming players that we currently have in Europe, and it is crazy what they can do with these resets. So the race has started, and this time Zealots should have a bit of a better stance than in the previous fight.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well so far here, as both teams will race down to the half mark point, and boy, it's only, what, 50 difference between both of our teams here? We'll see if the race will be committed to for Fnatic. If they can get their Karazim and Sonya in there in particular, they'll be fine, and Sonya finally does rotate down and starts working on the Immortal, while the other members of Fnatic will pop down and do their best to delay.
Zealots is attempting to defend for now, so they're moving in, as we saw already Sonya in that position. But it's all about nice. Okay, so Poik is getting a few more hits in. Stacks on his arrow are important, and they might get the kill against Wubby even, and indeed they do. Wubby down, and that is already a big victory for them. So at this point, Zealots can force the issue. They are going to try and make that play for the Immortal. And let's not forget, Poik is at 40 stacks already, so they will have a much better time getting that Immortal down, especially once that he completes the quest talent.
Fnatic entering back and defending for the moment. And the reason why Sonya was left alone on the side is because Fnatic was chasing that Arthas on the bottom right side, unable to get them as Zarmany does survive. But the poke here from the Zealots are just having a really hard time of actually connecting with the Immortal. They're slowly chunking it down, but Sonya is already back.
Yeah, already comes a charge against Poik, but he is still kept safe by the double support. 60 extra damage for him already, and still just waiting this out. So Booby always putting the constant pressure on. Sonya, of course, by now back thanks to the low death timers that we have this early. Again, Bed of Barbs taken on a Nubrak, not going for the dive, trying to just simply keep the backline safe. That's more what he's going to try and do, and set up a few obstacles for the opponent's team. But especially Poik is loving this. Him poking away at the Immortal and the opponent's heroes is great for his stacking process.
It really is here. And Breeze goes in for a fight. You're going to have Breeze pull back as the Immortal's going to help out with the defense. Sonya ran bottom here to put some pressure on the fort, and that's where we're having this aggressive opening available for the Zealots. But Wubby joins back in for the fight, charges in, and Zarmany with that Tassadar shield is just having none of it.
Yeah, the teams are both on level 9 now, and we see a lot of aggression here, trying to just poke away, make sure that they can fly, maybe get a kill, get a stun in there, do something, isolate someone. But Poik already moving around, and he is really chunking away at the Immortal now. He by now has 75 extra damage. He's about to finish the quest talent, and he's doing really well poking this down. Even if they lose this is a good second Immortal phase for them.
Yeah, it really is here. As Zealots continue to poke, and they are starting to take the lead here on the Immortals being burned down slowly but surely. Zealots pull on back.
The 10 is the problem.
Yeah, you're right. It's almost here for Fnatic.
This is the biggest issue. If they just sneak around and try to force the race, they might be able to make that work. But that level 10 on the side of Fnatic is going to be the biggest issue. Once again, hits against Shrimpy is actually low. Immortal has been won, though, by the opponent. Sonya with a leap goes in for Poik, and here comes Shrimpy, gets the kill with a Disintegrate.
And Poik falling makes the Zealots completely lose out on any hope of winning this team fight. They're hoping to run, but Zarmany has no chances. Breeze will lock him down. And with the Immortal being finished up, Fnatic will push in the bottom here, get some more experience, and grab that second kill.
And talking experience, this is again one of these moments where the Zealots should have walked away. They see either you commit way earlier, before level 10 hits, and you say, okay, we need to make a play because our opponent hits 10, so let's do it now. Or when you allow the level 10 to hit, you need to just walk away from it. They were trying to sneak around to force the Immortal down, but that didn't work. Level 10 hit for Fnatic. They got the kill with an easy leap and then the Disintegrate, and now there's a huge snowball going where Fnatic just simply went through the bottom fort already. They have still the pressure up at the top, so that was a big issue here on the side of the Zealots. They should have walked away from this.
Well, they're wanting to walk into their opponents now, though. Zealots comes in for the rotation. Archon being popped. As Shad is trying to attack and slow any members in the front line. Zarmany hoping to hitting Hal and Glass. He will connect it here. Parry build comes out. Breeze turns around the leap, and my golly, Fala is gone.
That is exactly what they're trying to do here. Just sync up these abilities. You go for the charge, you taunt, and then it's a 100% leap target for Sonya. That's a synced up stun, and all that Shrimpy has to do at that moment is hit the Disintegrate and hold steady and say, like, yes, this is our kill. There's absolutely... I don't see a way how they can stop this without the cocoon being used perfectly. I feel the only chance they have... See how they're getting wrecked in this fight now? The only chance they have, in my opinion, is once that variant charges in with the taunt and you see the Sonya leap, you have to cocoon the Li Ming. If you don't cocoon the damage, then your target, your Vala, will die. And with a hyper carry composition, it means that you have no damage and no hope to win the team fight.
Let's see if they can pull it off. I mean, there's always the option of getting that cleanse into the root, maybe just in time, but it is going to be a very difficult task here for the Zealots to hold on to that pressure, as Fnatic's coordination has just been completely in line with each other. 13-11 and another Immortal phase on the way. And while it's not looking like the Zealots are too far behind, the team fights have been a completely different story. A total of 6 kills to 1 for the moment.
I actually imagine that at the beginning they were caught off guard a little bit by the leap in the first fight.
I mean, we were.
Yeah, again, they shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. They should have walked away from it or committed earlier, one of the two. But then in the last one, they know now what's up. They know exactly what's going to happen whenever Poik is going to move forward and Breeze has a chance to charge in. Breeze is going to do that, and then the follow-up will be there. So the question is, how are they going to deal with it now? And, well, so far they are not doing too well with it. That was a really nice 7-sided strike. Once again, the isolation, taunt, 7-sided, and then it Disintegrate.
I mean, that's one way to save your Vala. Just let your Nubrak die instead, you know? Just go ahead and sacrifice him.
I don't even know if we have seen a cocoon yet on the side of the Zealots. I don't think that Mopsy actually had a chance to do that yet.
Yeah, these fights have been way too quick between the teams. And halftime show hits for Fnatic as they easily burn down the Immortal. They come in and look at Tassadar. He'll be able to dimensional shift out. Zarmany coming in for an engage with a Nubrak just spawning. they may be able to move in for a fight on their Immortal, but their Immortal is on the opposing side.
Yeah, the low cooldown on the side of the taunt is, of course, one of the biggest tools here for them. They can always charge in, use the taunt, and then Whoopi can decide, do I leave or do I not? And they are going to look for another combo just now. They have all the cooldowns ready, even the 7-sided, they can easily blow them up. But first of all, they secure themselves another Immortal. And here comes once more an attack against Tassadar. Already Cocoon bursted down. Whoopi leaps out. Silence has been hit as well as Malfurion uses the Twilight Dream, but Breeze on the way back here. Can they save him though? That's the question. He's really low, and this might be the first kill or the second kill on the side of the Zealots.
Is going in there looking for the fight here as well. Burning through. A 7-sided strike is used. Breeze will be taken out, and members are getting low for Fnatic, but finally we're going to have Poik fall here, and the rest of the team from the Zealots are having to run from a Genji chasing.
Zealots are also taking down targets though. Genji and Karazhan both died, and now it's time for Sonya to fall. Grand Paquette survives. That's a quad kill just now. So that engage they had after they lost the Immortal was actually really strong. Breeze survived for a ridiculous amount of time, but in the end he falls, and now we have Malfurion dying to Liming randomly on the map. Not quite sure what exactly happened there, but after the quad kill, I expected the Zealots to move back as a unit and deal with the Immortal. So it seems that Shrimpy just got a good kill off. Maybe Malfurion was trying to Hearthstone back at that point, and Shrimpy sniffed it out. One way or another, Malfurion is going to be back in another few seconds. It's not really a big deal given the situation that we have there, but yeah.
Well, Malfurion does spawn here, and we're back into it. And the keep was saved. That's probably the biggest thing here for Zealots. They got into the team fight, and while Malfurion maybe had been trying to keep Fnatic at bay or something, they did save the keep. Mopsio gets locked down, but is able to burrow charge out of the 7-sided strike. Fnatic pretty far in the lead, but the Zealots are hanging in here. Much better than they did in game number 1.
It was also, once again, Malfurion here, Grand Paquette with a quick lens. If not, Mopsio would have probably died. The 7-sided just did so much work that after the taunt came in, the cleanse helped. Zarmany, on the other hand, he is falling. Once again, the taunt, and then it's just too much damage, especially, of course, with the Disintegrate. They're jumping in with a leap. Here comes the Malfurion Silence. Poik survives, and so does Shed, but they are all very low. But they walk away without losing another member, and that's a lot of cooldowns burned again for Fnatic, but also the Zealots. They had to commit to the Twilight Dream from Malfurion.
Yeah, they had to really make sure that the entire team didn't fall victim there, which is unfortunate, because for 70 seconds they will have that Twilight Dream up, so Fnatic will keep moving forward with that taunt.
Fnatic's comp is terrifying.
Yeah.
Every time you see a member of the Zealots move up to a minion wave, Breeze charges in and taunts. It is frightening. This is insane. Fnatic is just jumping in. They want the keep. Zarmany takes Liming's damage to protect the keep here. The level 16 talent gives Fnatic an edge. Another 10 seconds and the Immortal will be back. But they're doing it again. They're moving up so far now because all they want to do is get kills.
Yeah, they're looking for that taunt. They want to move in for the fight. With 30 seconds before Twilight Dream comes up and leap up in 10 seconds, they have a 20-second window here where they can go for a hard engage and force a fight without having to deal with Malfurion's silence there. The Immortal being burned here on the bottom side. Fnatic racing quickly here, and the Zealots are just stuck on their side of the map.
Yeah, Zealots are a bit in a checkmate position. They don't want to fight against the 16 talent, but they have to. They need to at least attempt to defend their own Immortal. They can't afford to lose another one. They will lose a keep if the Immortal goes to Fnatic. Unless, of course, they team wipe in the process. But right now, they might have a chance to get a kill here. But I don't think they can wait for 16. I really think they have to take this fight, even though it's a bad one.
They seem to agree with you. No one's filling off to soak that top lane. There's a wave available that would get them close to 16, but they can't afford to do so. Mopsia just taking damage here on the front line. Smex is willing to go in. 7-sided strike. He's going to be able to get out, turning around for the fight. Twilight Dream is up and available.
Good cleanse. Here comes the Cocoon. Bursted down by the Disintegrate immediately. These cleanses of Grandpa are absolutely on point. Grand Paquette making sure that Mopsio is able to escape here. The taunt and 7-sided combo is absolutely brutal against the front line. So they're doing quite well with this. 16 is finally ready. Now they can try and force a battle here. They still have the Twilight Dream. They still have Archon. There's a lot of good cooldowns on the side of the Zealots they can use now.
backpack, jumping over the side here, trying to burn down the Immortal. They're trying to stretch out the Zealots, which will leave a member up for a taunt here. Breeze is looking for it. Mopsio dives in and tries to slow down the fight. They will get the Impale on Breeze.
Yeah, they go for the Impale on Breeze. Tassa still zoning out Genji a bit. Here comes the leap, though. And the taunt, the end of the Nubarak. A 5 versus 4. Genji popping off. Li Ming with combo after combo. Rampakete with a good ice block, but it's not enough. Here's the death of Malfurion and Arthas. This is potentially even a team wipe as Genji is just moving in to drop Vala.
Reset City coming in there. Schwimpy just popping off there. Quacknick's helping out with the damage. And with 20 seconds before Nubrak is even on the field, a full 35 before Vala spawns, all of Fnatic will charge towards the core and start to burn it down. And they are looking to gain a 2-0 victory over Zealots.
Fnatic moving in, and this is going to be it. The Immortal not even needed. 100% shields nearly, but Fnatic just moves in and drops the core. The Zealots losing 15 kills to 5. The laser show started as Schwimpy finishes it off. A 2-0 lead for the mid-season Brawl champion against the newcomer in the HGC.
15-5, and it really became a fight of cooldowns there. We had the taunt going in, the cleanse coming out, and eventually the winning for the fights. And I loved how it came down to a point where Wubby realized, all right, Grandpa is constantly coming in with these Twilight Dreams, so he would force his Sonya leap, and then he wouldn't spear in. He would just back up, and then they would come in 15 seconds later and find an isolation kill. Fnatic just having real great composure there and securing the takedowns as they normally do.
Overall, though, I feel Zealots looked a bit better in this game. They still lost. Fnatic dominated that game, don't get me wrong. But overall, the Zealots were trying to fight back here. And I feel at this point, you have to take this as a learning opportunity. So it's a rough game for the Zealots, but still, they're here to fight. They show a few things. They're trying. They had a good fight where they killed 4 members then overall, but they are going up against the mid-season Brawl champion. And that's what we kind of expect, that the top 2 in Europe still far ahead. But the Zealots are here to play, and they are fighting back. They're trying to make that one game happen and see if they can maybe make a bit more. There's still, of course, a chance of a reverse sweep. We've already seen 2. Maybe.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm kind of hoping the Zealots start to all in on a team fight at some point. Just go with the full wipe if you have to. There are moments where, especially during the mid, where they started to seem a little bit frustrated. We had Howling Blast coming out randomly, a new Wreck Impales to try and force some fights. They were starting to lose a little bit of their teamwork. Bring that in here for game number 3 and see if you can get a victory. And speaking about game number 3, we'll be right back to check it out. Fnatic and Zealots facing off. Fnatic currently up 2-0.